Alrighty, hello. I forgot I hit. Haha. Hello, everyone. Incredible greetings. I actually hit it. Hit go live a little too soon, but that's okay. How is everyone doing? Alrighty, I'm gonna have to move my microphone. Just give me a second because I didn't mean to hit go live just yet, but it's okay. How is everyone? That just gives us time to get everybody in the room. All right, let's go ahead and all right, there we go. Hello, 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 incredible greetings. All right, so I got to just set some things up really quickly here. And then we are going to get started. Well, not when I say set them up, like I need to share out the video because StreamYard doesn't allow us to share directly to as a destination the groups anymore. So I always have to share it out. And of course, right now we are showing that it's only showing to me. It's not public. All right, there we go. Our main one is public. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and drop those links in the chat. And let's see here. All right, we are all shared out, all shared out, all shared out. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, there we go. Hello, 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 everyone. Incredible greetings, Marna. Thank you so much for joining us. Melanie, hello, hello, hello. And how are you? Thank you so much for hopping on. Danny, she says, what's crack-a-lacking on this Friday afternoon for us on the East Coast? Sensei, I like that. Hope all is well. It is. She says, I got that good 13 by 19 in yesterday. Awesome. Can't wait to see and hear from you what incredible creations, incredible things that you create and creations that you make with the paper. The second link says something went wrong. Probably because it broke up the. Is it go wrong in the chat or the description? Hold on 1 second. Let me just check that really quick. Hello, how are you? And you are very welcome. All right, let me go here and see. Okay, no, that one is going. And that one is going. So I'm not sure if it's the one in the chat. All right, so you're on YouTube. Go to the description. I'm guessing it somehow did not put the whole thing on there. I'm going to see. Let's go over here. Let's see if I guess it's shortening it for some reason. I'm going to copy and we're going to paste it. I'm going to try doing them one at a time, but they are in the description. All the links that you see me putting in the comments, they are in the descriptions as well. I made sure that I did go in and update them on all the platforms. So check the description, and they will be in the comment section of the video as well once the live video is complete. Okay. Okay, yeah, now it's opening up. I just clicked on it myself, and now it should be working. All right. And that one is for the reference guide. So we're going to get into all of this right now. All right, there you guys. Now we are getting started. Welcome, everybody. I am Shakia, the professor of HS Ink 365. We are the home of the Honest Speaking brand of products. We carry the absolute best sublimation paper and ink. Our inks are 140 milliliter bottles. They are keyed for eco tanks. However, with our syringes and needles, you can fill up your cartridges. If you still have cartridge-based printers, just get the syringes and needles to fill those up. If you get our pigment ink, although it says Epson because that's what we originally got it for, if you have the Canon TC20, you can use our pigment ink. It is what I use. It produces beautiful colors in the Canon TC20. I have a few videos where I've posted some of the prints, and they are absolutely amazing. And with those, you can either you need to still get the syringe and needle, and you can take that and fill in the tanks, or you can like fill up your bottles and then put the bottles on there. But the pigment ink, not sublimation, guys, the pigment ink is compatible with the TC20, which is a tank version of a large or wide format printer. Okay. But today, we're not going to talk about pigment ink. We're talking about sublimation, and something that you guys rarely see me talk about. I've done a few videos over the years, but I don't typically do a lot when it comes to all over sublimation shirts. It's just not one of my major things that I do, but it is big, within the craft space, and a lot of you crafters and creators like to create them. So I felt like it was still important for me to go over things as it relates to doing sublimation shirts as a crafter, because that is where most of you guys are starting off at. Yes, you may eventually turn it into a creative business, but I know that many of you guys are starting out doing a lot of different creative and crafty type things. And a lot of the times crafts involve hacks. This method is a hack because there is a more efficient way of doing all over shirts that give a really clean, professional look, which is called cut and sew. If you did not see, oh shoot, where'd it go? Now, where did my son's jersey go that fast? I just had that thing. Now, where did it go? All right. I don't know where it went. I just had it last week. I put it in the pile so that I would not lose it. And now I don't see it. All right, hold on. Did I move it somewhere on the other side of the room? I probably did. Let's check. Shall we? I don't see it. Well, I'll have to show it another time because I will be doing these videos a few times as it is leading up to our class on all over shirts. But there is a way to do it where it's called cut and sew, where all of the fabric is pre-sublimated, then cut out and sewn together, where you don't see any of the white area. There's no lines of demarcation. So like if you were to pull these apart, you wouldn't see white. So that's called cut and sew. Okay. And then there's like this version, and this one is also like on this side, it is a full bleed. This one had a little mistake on it. We're going to talk about some of the ways to prevent mistakes like this. All right, but this is an adult version. So although this is a youth medium, I wanted you to see that this can be done. We end up with imperfections like this. So there is a way to do this on a, still on kind of on a craft level with a large format printer. Whether it, like the 24-inch ones, I'm pretty sure I'm going to get questions about that. We're going to talk about printers. But like the 24-inch one, you still end up having to piece it together, but it will be two pieces versus a bunch of sheets put together. And if you get like a 36-inch wide one, you can do majority of the shirt sizes. If you get a 44-inch sublimation printer, you can print them out. Now, if you also combine that with a large format printer, you're able to get these done in no time flat, the same way that you would do a regular sublimation shirt. But if you are pressing in sections, it does take time, depending on what type of paper you're using. Our paper makes this process a little bit easier because you only have to press each section for 30 seconds versus a full 45 to 60 or 50 to 60 seconds in order for that ink to transfer. Also, with our paper, you don't get that discoloration. When you're pressing a section for 60 seconds at 400 degrees, and then you have to overlap part of that and now press that overlap part for another 60 seconds at 400 degrees, you can see some discoloration where it starts to over sublimate and like the ink, the color starts to come out of it. You don't have that issue because we're pressing each section at 365, 30 seconds, maybe 370, 40 seconds, depending on your heat press. But it can be done in sections. Now, whether you are doing it in sections or if you are doing a large press, you may still have some of the imperfections in your shirt. So we're going to go over all of the facts when it comes to doing all over sublimation shirts. So we're not going to sublimate one. I know some of you guys might have come on looking to see a full demonstration. I'll give you a breakdown. We're going to do a full demonstration at a later time in our creative lounge. But I promise you this video or this live will give you the information that you need to further research and, just kind of look into things and figure out which way you want to do it. And then if you want to join us in the creative lounge for the full on, you can join us. It'll be at the end of September. The only reason why there isn't an exact date is because I'm trying to switch some things around. But the date will be coming soon, but it will be at the end of the month. Okay. Before we go into the fourth quarter. All right. So if you are currently doing sublimation, you already have everything that you're going to need, most likely, right? Because to do sublimation, the typical supplies is going to be, of course, sublimation paper. You're going to have sublimation ink. You're going to have a printer that is heat-free that you're going to put that sublimation ink in. You're already probably using heat tape. You're probably using the thinner heat tape. I recommend going up to the 1 inch. We do have this on our website. 2-inch tape. Now, y'all know we have 1/2 inch all the way up to 6 inches. For this, I pretty much stick to the 2-inch. 3-inch is kind of like overkill for it, but 2-inch is what I highly, highly recommend for this. And then also your masking tape. There's a thinner masking tape. Oh, see, this is a wider one. This is the 4-inch one. We don't really need to go that thick for this project. All right, hold on. I had my tape on as a bracelet last night, and I know I took that out of the room. I don't want to leave out of the room, but I normally have a whole bunch of these anyway. So let me go over to my tape drawer and grab a new one. So your painter's tape can come in a multitude of sizes, or you can also do frog tape. I recommend the one that is thicker. This one is 1.5 inches wide. This is the one that I recommend to make sure that those gases don't escape. Okay. I'm sorry, y'all. Shoot, my mom is texting me. I'm sorry. Hold on. She's gonna go get the little person for me. So had to let her know what time it gets out. But yeah, sorry, y'all. Sorry. So the heat tape, the painter's tape, scissors, of course. I recommend parchment paper over butcher paper, but you can use butcher paper. I'll show you why I recommend parchment paper over butcher paper. And I personally use craft paper to put mine on because it's bigger. You can find this in like Home Depot, Lowe's, any of the hardware stores. It's really big. It's much larger and wider than the butcher paper. So y'all see this? How big this is? Okay. And this is butcher paper. And then this is parchment. So you guys see the differences in the sizes of these, which is why I keep all three and I use them for different projects. I'm really about using the proper size materials for the job to make your life easier. All right. And of course, you are going to need, I talked about paper in the beginning. I meant to talk about it at the end, because when it comes to sublimation paper, it doesn't really matter which size you're using for this. This can be accomplished with any size sublimation paper. If you have a small format printer, you can use 8.5 by 11, 8.5 by 14, or you can use the sublimation roll. We sell this, it's 328 feet. You cut it down to the size that you need. The pre-order is open for this. It will close September 30th, and you have to allow a few weeks after that for it to be produced, shipped, and then for us to get it shipped out to you. Do not combine it with other orders. It won't go out with your other orders if you order something ready to ship. But we still have some fast dry on the website for these. The tacky is what's on pre-order right now. All right. And I'll explain what tacky paper is in a moment. But 8.5 inches, you can do 8.5 by 11, 8.5 by 14, or you can get the roll and cut it down to the size that you need. Okay. You will tape your sheets together with the painter's tape, not the heat tape, with the painter's tape. All right. Now, over on TikTok, y'all are attentive. I thank you guys for sticking around, but we got to get those likes up. We got to double tap that screen, get those likes up. If you guys want this information, if you need this information, we need to get those likes up. If you're watching over on Facebook or YouTube, make sure that you guys give the video a thumbs up and you're liking the video as well. Tag a friend, share with somebody, share the broadcast out. Let's see if we can get to 10 shares on all platforms. You can share from YouTube as well. And when you hit share, it'll give you the option to copy the link or share it to Facebook. Okay. Or share it to Pinterest or anywhere else. All right. So let's get those shares up. Let's get those likes up. Double tap the screen. Okay. All right. So like I was saying, you can tape them together and print it out. Did you guys know that all Epson printers, whether it is a cartridge base, an EcoTank, the F170, did you know that all of them, and even the Canon printers, and if you get the Brother, it should be the same way, that they print 47 inches long? With those smaller ones like the ET 2803, 2720, 43, is it 70, something like that? 43.8, I think it is. With all of those, many think that they're limited to 8.5 by 11. A lot of people are afraid to even get the 8.5 by 14-inch paper, but you can print much longer than that. So I can send these 3 taped together 8.5 by 14 sheets through my printer, and it will print the entire length. This will prevent you from having to tape together all of the individual sheets and also cutting them down to individual sections. You can just do a longer strip. So for this medium shirt, it took 3 of these sections. Well, because the sleeve was on one, for like the main shirt part, if I did the sleeves on it, it would take that much. It would actually probably take more than that. If I included the sleeves in the full print, it would take 4 rows. So that would end up being 12 sheets of paper. Well, yeah, we still would need 12 because the middle section goes off a little bit into the last sheet. So 12 sheets, 10, I guess you would say. Still a lot that you would have to individually piece together. The method that I teach, you will print it out as one long sheet, whether you pre-tape your papers together or you use the roll, and then you only have to tape together 3 sections versus 12. That's better, right? Would you rather tape together 12 sheets of paper, or let's say 9 to 12, or would you rather tape 3 sections together? Which way sounds more efficient? You always learn something, a new craft paper from the hardware store? Yes. Hey, just say. That's my city girl, period. Hey. Hello. Thank you for tapping in. Hi. Okay, wow. Never tried it with taping, then printing. It's amazing. Get out of here. Long sheets to avoid taping. We still have to tape it, but you don't have to tape them individually. Exactly. See, y'all always learn something new. That's why I always said, I'm going to give you the facts of how to do this. Some people teach it, but they teach it in a way where it's a long process. 3, of course. 3 sections. I have 13 by 19 sublimation paper, so I should be able to tape less. So yes, so let's say for this shirt, let me go ahead over here real quick and let me see, 19. So you'll need 2 sheets. It would still, let me see, 13. You would need, let's see. Oops, hold on. 8.5. Okay, so it would be 4 sheets of 13 by 19 for this size shirt. So you still have to tape them together. You still have to print longer. But yes, you wouldn't have to tape together as many, but you're still going to have to tape together sections and pre-tape the sheets. So putting 3 is much better. 3. Okay. All right. So we will go over how to do this. It's really simple. You can see here, it's just, you want to overlap it. So this paper is overlapping it, and we're just using the tape. Okay. And when you're putting this in your printer, you want to put it to where it's going to print like this, to where the ink is going to go like this. You don't want to take the chance of it getting snagged and ink getting under. So make sure whichever printer you have, that you are printing it where it comes through like this, which we're going to go over fully, like how to upload it into various printers. The guide, if you click the link and you sign up to receive the guide, you should be receiving that within the next few days. and it will have all of that information on how to put it in your printer and get it all to print out. Okay, but that's all the supplies. If you do sublimation, do you not already have of course, scissors or a blade? That's the last one. Do you guys already have all of these things? So we have sublimation paper, check, right? Preferably, honestly speaking, so that we can do this in 30 seconds. Ink, a printer, heat tape. If you don't have the half an inch if you only have like half an inch or smaller, get the 1 inch heat tape. You want to get yourself some 2-inch heat tape and painter's tape. Okay. We'll need parchment paper, craft paper, and butcher. I've used it too, especially to cover up certain things. But I normally, when I'm doing these, I'm kind of using parchment and craft paper. But you can use the butcher paper as well. Scissors and or a blade. Now, there's a lot of tutorials on this. There are 2 things. I guess you would say 3, because some people, I guess 4, maybe 4. 4 things that I've seen in other tutorials and things like that we don't have on this table. Do you guys know, if you've seen any other videos, if you have researched it and looked into it, can you name 1 or all 4 of the things that's missing from what you've seen in other instructions for the craft version of all over shirts? What is the best butcher paper? There's no such thing as best butcher paper. Butcher paper is butcher paper. So, it doesn't matter where you get it from. So someone says hold on. I'll take my mic. I got to get me a lavalier mount. Someone says a lint roller. Well, I never use that. I don't care what sublimation shirts I'm using. Which method I'm using. I never use a lint roller. Hey. Yes, you tuned into a great one. Hardboard, a jig, a long piece of board, ram board. Yep. So the ram board is the thinner one that's normally used to make a jig. And then the hardboard is the one that it's like a lot of people put that onto their heat. Oh, I am missing one. I'm sorry. I'm missing a tool. You will need a piece of foam. So yes, Yucca board, hardboard. So Yucca board, hardboard, a jig, lint brush, and the jig will be also ram board. There's one more that's missing. There's one more thing that's missing that most people tell you that you need to do the all over shirts. So I don't see the board, longer paper. Okay, nope, we have the painter's tape. So I'm using painter's tape. There's one more thing that I've seen in so many tutorials. Let's see. Ha! There we go. Cynthia and LaShawn came in literally at the same time. The spray adhesive, spray glue, adhesive spray. Okay, exactly. That's the last thing. We don't see that on this table. I don't use them, guys. I don't use a hardboard. Now, I would recommend using a hardboard. Like, let's say if you only have a small surface to prep, like a little table or something, you don't want to be on the floor to do it. You can have the hardboard to give you a wider surface to prep everything and make sure it's all taped down. But you don't need that on your heat press, not with the method that I showed you. I don't use spray. I don't like spraying adhesive spray in my workspace because the spray offs get everywhere. Things can be just sticky. And also it can leave. If you don't do it properly and you put too much, you're heavy handed in one spot. This is a big shirt. So trying to go over and things like that, you can have a film that's left on the shirt. The other thing too is just The method I do, there's like, I guess you can say you have to pick one of like the lesser two evils. Some people prefer to spray, but even with all that spraying, guess what they still get? They get ghosting. They get shifted prints. It may seem like a lot the way that I do mine, but I also don't get shifted prints. So if you feel like, oh my God, it's a lot of taping, and you'd rather try it another way, you're more than welcome to. You can test out both methods and see which method gives you better results. That will be totally up to you. Okay. But those things I don't use. No hardboard, no RAM board, no Yucca board, and no spray. And then, of course, I never use a lint brush. So there we go. All right. So those are the tools. All of that will be broken down, so you don't have to try to remember it all if you just click the link. If you are watching over on TikTok, oh, did I add both links to my link tree? Hold on, let me make sure. I know I have. Let me make sure both of them are on the link tree. 1 second. Nope, it wasn't. I didn't think so. Okay. I just added the guide to the link tree. All over guide. Okay, so on TikTok, if you click the link in my bio, it will take you there, and you're going to see the one to sign up for the Creative Lounge for the full training, as well as the free reference guide. Okay. I am Incredible John. How are you? Thank you for jumping on. All right, let's talk about creating these. Now, when I teach how to do these, I don't teach it with like teaching you a design first. I am a foundation first type of instructor. So when you take my class, we're going to have a plain shirt. A plain design. We're not, discussing how to make a memorial shirt, a birthday shirt. That is something that we teach in design classes. But if you say that you want to learn this process, creating the design is secondary. It does you no good to know how to create a bomb-ass design. And then when you go and put that on this shirt, it looks like crap. So learning to design for me is always secondary. I want you to master this process and understand this process. Okay. Understanding how, because everyone's going to use a different shirt. We're not all, and oh yeah, all shirts are not created equal. All shirts don't do well for all over shirts. You can make them work, but this is why some shirts get more white spots than others because of the way that they're sewn together. Some are sewn in a way to where they can lay flat a lot easier than others. So shirt is important. So in the training, I will teach you how to adjust for whatever shirt you are using. Okay. But I teach from just a standard design, so we can focus on the techniques and making sure that we understand everything. So that's going to be, hope you guys know that. We're not teaching how to create a memorial design, how to create a birthday design. We go over creating your template, filling in your template, how to split that up to have it print out, no matter which program you use. Of course, we're going to use Select Studio, which everybody can use because it is absolutely free $99 to use. You can go to SilhouetteAmerica.com. This is not sponsored by them. I just love teaching Select Studio. I think it's a great platform. You can use Canva, you can use Photoshop, you can use Affinity. We will go over understanding how to properly size, especially for you Canva users. Knowing how to properly size and set your design up is or set your design page up is so, so, so important when it comes to doing these, okay? So I always teach foundational and setting this up. I'm gonna actually give you guys a couple of options as far as what you want to put on it. I recommend practicing with a smaller shirt. If it is your first time doing all over shirts, you should not be doing an extra large, a 2X, a 4X. No, we're not doing that, okay? That is the quickest way to mess with your motivation, mess with your head, make you feel like you're never going to get it because you don't even understand the foundational part of it yet. So trying to jump to an extra just because someone asks for it. If you're not ready for it, it's okay to learn the skill before you monetize it. It is okay to learn the skill before you monetize it. It is okay to learn the skill. This is not considered a waste. You may not have anyone that's going to wear a youth medium shirt, but it's going to be great for you to keep. You can see your progress versus doing your first one and then like giving it away. I love to teach foundation first. Okay. I don't ever use spray adhesives. So Valerie says, I thought you never use spray adhesives. I don't. A lot of people do use spray adhesives. I personally don't. I've had a can of spray adhesive spray for 5 years. I have to get the tacky paper. Yes, the tacky paper rolls and sheets are available on pre-order on the website right now. Oh, you know what I forgot to do too? My bad, y'all. I forgot to put our announcements at the bottom. Bam. There we go. Okay. So that's that. And this is also double-sided. This is where the foam comes in at. Because you have the collar here, the pressure from like when you go ahead and you close it down, it can make it to where because it's pushing down and this part will be raised, the neckline up here, like right where the opening of the collar is, this section will end up like my one for Howard, where there's no color there. So your your pressing pad or foam, there we go, is so that it absorbs that bulk and you get a nice even press on this section. After you kind of do everything else, I do the collar last, and then I put this underneath to make sure that we get nice, even pressure. Okay. All right. Let's see who is a very attention to detail type of person. So we see this shirt, right? I want you to take a look at my print that this was done with. What do you notice? What do you notice? The foam you can get from any craft store. I like that. I'm so glad you see there's no ink. But besides that, oh God, I like that. I like that. Yes, there's no ink on this joint. 30 seconds. What do we notice on here? As crafters, you guys should be paying attention to details. What do we notice? I see a couple people have said I want to see. Okay, yes. Exactly. There are no sleeves on that part. There are no sleeves. I see someone over here. So of course you're going to always see a seam. You're going to see this because the papers overlap. So that's a given. But yes, there's no sleeves on here. I actually did them separate. Now that does take some taping. But the way that this shirt sits, because we cannot press. I have a 16 by 20 press. Some of you guys will probably have a 15 by 15 press. Okay. Because you can't put the full shirt underneath and press it, it can be quite difficult to get it to lay out flat. When you go and, lay your shirt out, being able to tape it down and for it to be flat can be a task. And if you are putting the full print over it, this is how you end up with a lot more. Now here I ended up with some lines. You can see, well, my sleeve folded in right here. That was my fault. On this side, we don't have it at all. And then over here, it's a technique that I do, and I didn't do it on the front. As you can see on the back, even though there's a fold here, the color's underneath because I did what I was supposed to do in this section. I saw Jay Stewart do this years ago, and I don't really do these. Hers wasn't like with the pattern from the design because mine almost connects. I could have did a slightly better job on that one of it kind of connecting and continuing. But I saw Jay Stewart from, or Jamila from Jay Stewart Laboratory. When she first was doing hers, she was like, look, I guess she was like, anybody got time for this? And she actually did the sleeve separate. My method is slightly different than hers. I think she kind of put hers down and then just cut it, which, I mean, you can do that as well. I am more of a tape girl. I like tape. I don't do these often. I would not do this, do this method. If I had to do 20, 30, 40 of these, because some people will do like for a whole entire family for memorial or birthdays and things of that nature, and they're piecing it together. I simply cannot. I don't understand how you guys even do that, the amount of time that it takes, and you're only charging like 30, 40 bucks for like that. You can only charge that because that's what the companies who have the large format heat presses and the large format printers, that's how much they're charging, anywhere from $35 to $50, $60. I've seen it as high as $65, $70 for front and back. It's hard to compete with that, but you'll feel like, you're doing it and you're not making enough money because you are piecing together. This is kind of a one-off, a few of them, just kind of get the hang of it. Use what you got to get what you want. And it's like, if you see that you have a demand for it, consider investing in the proper equipment. Now, I will say, if you plan to do a bunch of them, the RAM board would be beneficial because instead of like taping so much, you can put them in. But just like if you're doing one-offs, I'm just not going to spend the money on a RAM board, like adding something extra. I told you everything here, maybe except the craft paper, is something that every person that does sublimation, you have everything that I listed, maybe except the craft paper, but I'm telling you, it's a good thing to add to your regular sublimation as well. All right. But I teach a way where you take your template and we cut off the sleeves so that we can press them. I press my sleeves first. I tape them off, and then we put this down and we tape it down and we press it. Okay. I saw a question because now we're going to go into the next thing when it comes to, she says, pro tip. Someone asked about the tacky paper. Would tacky paper be better than spray adhesive? I thought one should not use adhesive with sublimation. Okay. So tacky paper will help when it comes to the pressing process, but not for like, I'm on my table. My heat press is over there. So if I needed to move this from my table to my heat press, I have to have it where it is stuck to it. If not, it's going to fall off. Things are going to shift and move. So the spray adhesive, you can spray it and then you can, like, people will take it and they'll smooth it down. That way the shirt is kind of temporarily stuck to the paper and then they can move it. Now, once you start to heat that up, that adhesive starts to break down, which is why when you're moving it, you're still getting ghosting because it's a temporary adhesive. The only way that it won't move is if you're spraying too much. We don't want to do that because then it will leave a film on your shirt or your fabric. So so they're not one in the same. The tacky paper will make it to where once you press a section, it will stay, like that part will not move anymore. And then you can move on to the next section. So where you have that overlap, because that part is stuck down, when you press the next part of it, this side doesn't move. When you have the spray adhesive, your fabric can kind of shift a little bit to where you can see some ghosting or a shift in your design when you press over that section again. So that is what tacky paper is for. Tacky paper will allow me to not tape as much, but you can use fast dry as well. Okay. But good question. All right, let me see. Incredible afternoon. Hey, Javaya. Okay. Now, to do this, I pre-tape my sheets together, whether you are using 8.5 inch by 11, 8.5 by 14. If we're using sheets, if we're using the rolls, again, we have 8.5 inch rolls, we have 13 inch rolls, 328 feet for both of them. That's how they come. You have to pre-cut them down. You cannot load the entire roll. If you do, it's just going to keep spewing out until it reaches the end. All right. There is no stopping when it comes to like the regular printer. So you can't just put that, create a bar and put the roll there. No, because you still have to cut it off. But you cut this down, pre-cut it to the size that you need, up to 47 inches long for all of the Epson printers, except the 8550. The 8550, you can actually go 86. So if I don't know whether like a 4X, 5X shirt, you may not be able to do that anyway with your heat press, but up to 86 inches with the 8550. But all the other ones, 47 inches. Okay. So those are available, the tacky sheets and rolls. There's a gentleman here in South Florida. He comes to get our sheets. He's like, he tried the roll, but being able to, so here's another, now we're getting to, like I said, this is all craft facts, things that you should know, because there's a lot of ways to do these, a lot of ways to do them, but there are pros and cons. Certain things will irritate someone and not irritate someone else. Some things will become easier if you get additional equipment. So when you have these, you will need a mat. So I'm not sure, you can't really see my mat, but it's best to have a self-healing mat that's wider than the paper, because you'll need to have a straight line. You'll need to have a large ruler so that you can measure it out and then be able to cut it down. He was like, yeah, that was starting to aggravate my soul, like having to, pull it. And if you have a small work surface, you're trying to keep your paper from falling on the floor. He was like, it kept falling on the floor and then it would rip, and he ruined more paper using the rolls. But then I did kind of give him a tip. I can't give y'all that tip, but if you get the guide or you join the class, you'll get the tip. It is something additional that you have to purchase. But I promise you, if you're doing a lot of it, it will make your life so much easier if you are, if you utilize the tip that will be in the reference guide. And an even better tip if you join the class. But you can use these. Just know that you will have to have a mat so that you can properly cut it down. You have to cut this straight when you're putting it in your printer to keep it from like catching and getting like too much ink on the edges and like messing up your print as it goes going across, and so that it feeds in correctly. This, when you cut it, it has to be straight. It has to be straight. So you will need something to be able to cut it straight. Okay, no matter if it's the 13 or the 8.5. But he was like, he preferred taping because it's already pre-cut. The leading edge is straight. You don't have to worry about rolling it out, it falling off your table, tearing, ripping, all of those things. So he much rather, until I kind of told him, and I got to check on to see if he got some of the things that I suggest that he get, because he still had rolls, but he's just like, yeah, I'm just going to keep buying paper. But you can pre-tape them together. and print this. So you'll set your printer up to print it as if it's a roll. You can even make this a preset. Whether you have a PC or a Mac, you can set it for a preset to print this long, even though you have pre-taped the sheets together. Okay. You don't want to use borderless for this. You do not want to use borderless for these prints. You want to give yourself room to piece them together. When you are creating your design, I'm going to fold this back so that you can see. There is ink that's untouched underneath there, right? Because it doesn't have to be this much, but you have to set your design and set your prints up in a way to where there is overlap. There's overlap. Oh, there's another thing that I did not. I mean, if you're going to cut this down, you need it. But notice that to cut these down, I never say anything about a ruler. Because a lot of people will use a ruler to cut, the side down to piece them together. Because of the amount of overlap that I use, I don't need a ruler. I can freehand the cut. So if you're somebody, you're like, man, I never do this because I can't cut a straight line to save my life. You don't have to worry about making it perfectly straight as long as you have enough overlap. And that's not just the paper overlapping, the design itself overlaps. And I teach how to get that overlap from your design. And you know what I don't do? I don't crop. Now, if you see my video on YouTube, you saw me crop. That's the crafter. That's the, hey, you want free knowledge version. But in my classes, I teach a way where we don't have to ever crop. Okay. And then here you can see the overlap on this side is not that much. This is how it normally is. It's about there. So someone said that you don't see lines of demarcation and you don't see like a shift. There was like one place at the end, like I think on this one, I was a little bit off and there's like a shift, but for the most part, they line up. So yeah, you don't really see a lot of shifting of the design with the way that I teach you how to do this, how to print it. Now, if you're up, like right up on it, let me see. Hold on, I'm gonna show TikTok first because I think you can see it. So, okay, this is a good spot because it shows the cross from the papers being taped together and the line. So see right here, there is the cross line and then there's the up and down. Oh, y'all can see it too. So the cross line is here and then the up and down is right there. But you can't tell. Like somebody has to really be all up in your grill to be able to see it. And on this side, so like here, you can see it is right. And look at how great I did that. Now that one is good. Man, I did a good job on that one, but it's right there. Okay. Now, the process of doing this, like I said, I do my sleeves first. I recommend having a tape dispenser for the smaller pieces. And I normally outline my edge and then I go over it with a 2-inch piece so that when I put my print there, the bleed, it comes into this area, but it won't get on this side of the shirt because the tape will catch it. So I put tape and that's how I get a nice clean line at my sleeves where what's supposed to be over here is here, what's supposed to be over here is there. It's like there's no overlap of it because I'll tape it off. So like I said, my process does take a little bit more patience, but I prefer the results. I'm willing to, do a little bit more steps to get significantly better results than if I did not do it and I have to struggle with trying to keep it flat, or I have to purchase a ram board and I'm not doing these all the time. And then I have to, if you do a ram board, you have to create a jig for every size shirt as well as every brand, because the collars open differently. The sleeves are cut differently. So it's not universal. When we're using tape, this is universal. It doesn't matter which side, what kind of shirt you use, what brand of shirt, how it's cut. It doesn't matter what size you use. This method is universal. Ram boards are not. If you are a bargain crafter, like a bargain shopper, and you're always looking for sales and deals, and you're not committed to one brand of shirt to where you know exactly how theirs is cut, this is going to be a better method for you. Okay? But if you go and you're like, I'm gonna use the same brand of shirt, I know how it's cut, I know the sizes, I can do it one time to figure out how big I need this ram board to be, and I can continue to duplicate that because I'm going to use the same size shirt, the same brand of shirts. Then all you would have to do is have a ram board for each size. Now, are you someone that's going to specialize in kids shirts, adult shirts, oversized shirts? So if you're one, let's say someone came to a birthday order and you are a ram board user and you had shirts that range from a youth small all the way up to an adult 2X. You would need a template for each one of those, or a template and a jig for each one of those, compared to this being universal. Okay. So I take mine off. I pre-press my sleeves. If you have an easy press, it makes it a little bit easier than trying to put it under your big heat press. So I try sometimes to press it like with the easy press, and I'll try and pre-press them. If I'm doing more than 2 of these, and I had to make them for like MJ and my niece, I like to pre-press the sleeves first. I've actually done these. Y'all have never seen me do these because I never wanted to advocate doing this method. I despise this method, but I have had to make them for my kids, and that's the only people I've made. And I made one for myself. I actually had on mine yesterday. That's the only people I make it for. I think I've only done it one time for customers, because once I made them for myself, I was like, oh, hell to the no, not gonna happen, Captain. Can't do it. But I do want to share with you guys in case that is your desire. Just because it's not my desire doesn't mean that it doesn't have to be yours to be able to do this method and provide this as a service within your business. Okay. But we tape that down. We press the sleeves. We press them first. Then we tape. So we already have these pre-taped. So then we're going to tape them together. How I do mine, I take the outside and go over the inside if I'm doing 3 sheets, like 3 panels. If it ends up being 4, the outsides always still go on top, and then it comes to that middle one, it doesn't matter. You pick and choose like which one you want on the top and bottom, but my outside ones are always, on top. And I'll explain the significance of that in class. So then for the shirt, so we put this down like this. This is fast dry. I really wanted to do this so that I wanted to show you guys that this can be done with fast dry. Fast dry is a little bit different than tacky paper because, like I said, the tacky paper, once you press it, it will stick to that section, so you don't need as much tape. The first part of it, you have to do no matter what. You have to tape down your shirt. I just like to use the 1-inch tape, and I tape it down. And once I do that, I normally take it, because it's secured to it, I flip it over, and I tape it down to my craft paper. Okay, and so taping it down to the craft paper is the equivalent, I guess, for someone you're using the ram board, and they'll tell you move, not the ram board, the hardboard. They will tell you to move the hardboard and not the shirt itself, right? Well, I tape mine down to my paper so that I can just move it, and it's flexible. But I don't want it to like fall over or shift or move. I also don't want it to move. Like, let's say I'm doing it, and if I just put the shirt and I press it, there's a piece of, like, there's some ink on the paper. If the shirt part moves, guess what? That ink that's on there, when I go to press it, it can transfer. So I tape it in place to ensure that my print doesn't move. But if I'm using fast dry, I put strips of tape along the edges. And someone said too, you don't see tape marks. Yes, our tape is non-staining, non-marking, so you're not going to see tape marks. But it won't be on this side anyway, because it'll be like on that side. So we tape this, and then I take my 2-inch tape. Well, before this, we tape both sides. I take parchment paper, trim it down. So this way it will be too short. So I have to kind of go like this and create strips to put inside so that we don't get the overlap, which on one side I did it, but on the other side I didn't. But I like to kind of do that. You don't have to do that step. I mean, it's okay. It just depends on your quality level. If you want to avoid having the ink be in some places on the inside. So that just depends on, your standards of like quality. Okay. So if you want to avoid that, you put the parchment paper in it. If you don't care about it, then you can just not worry about it and just let this be as is. And then we just take the 2-inch tape, because we have to secure it. Remember, this is fast dry. It's not going to stick. So we would take the 2-inch tape and put it down the side and down the side. And you can just probably put a half a sheet or half a strip here, or you can go the whole way. And then along the top, I just put one strip going across the shoulders. Okay. So that's how I do that. Once it's taped down, I put it on top of my craft paper. And this is something that I do, whether I'm using tacky or I'm using fast dry. I tape it down. Fast dry, of course, I tape longer strips. With the tacky, I'll just do a few, just to kind of, get it stuck to it, because the exposed paper will also stick to my craft paper. So I just put like a few strips. But I'll tell you, like lately when I'm doing them, I just put a full strip, because it is annoying. Like, because this one doesn't have a tape dispenser, although I'm about to buy a new automatic one. So those who took my foam board, we talked about this. I'm actually considering getting like 4 more of these. That way I don't have to keep changing them out. But I want it for my tape, and that way it can just spit it out for me, because it is actually getting very annoying. I have to, if you know me, your girl rock a tape bracelet all the time. So I'll take it and I'll do it like that, and I'll keep my bracelet on. Sometimes I walked out the house and forgot that I had it on. And some of you guys have seen my heat tape bangles. I did a post about my heat tape bangles. But lately, even when I'm using the tacky, I've been just doing the long strips, because to me, it's more time consuming to do the smaller strips. But I do plan to get me a few more of these, so that I can put like this tape. The 4-inch won't fit. I can put my 2-inch in here. I don't think the 3-inch, so I can put my 2-inch heat tape, because I use this a lot, especially for my tumblers. So instead of like cutting them down, so I want one for my 2-inch tape, I want one for my painter's tape, and I want an automatic one for my 1-inch tape, and I will be able to fit 3 in there. So I'll get 3 pre-cut sheets at one time versus keep turning this. This did its job for a long time, but I am now over it, especially that I'm going back into creating custom items and actually doing the things instead of just teaching. This work to do them every once in a while. I just did a full case of tumblers, and this shit was annoying. I'm like, this was driving me crazy. So I'm going to definitely get me at least, let me see, that would be 1, 2, 3 more of these. But I said 4. I told even 4, because that would be $200 for them. So that's my next purchase, is 4 more of these. That's something that you don't need. You don't even need this one. You can cut them by hand. But once I have it here, we tape it down, and then I press it in sections. Before I talk about pressing in sections, are there any questions for me? Incredible afternoon. I'm a Ramboard users, right? And nobody should be that day gonna close, right? Exactly. Get up off me. That overlap is important. Yes, all of our paper. Thank you for that, Craftastic tips for Shani D. All of our paper, even the rolls, is 120 GSM. All of our paper is 120 GSM. The pre-order. So, Javaya, the rolls are not on the site, but the pre-order is now open for the tacky rolls and the tacky sheets. So many people have asked us, it took y'all forever and a day to catch on to tacky. Now that people have caught on to tacky and how beneficial it is, people are asking for it. So we're doing a pre-order for the tacky sheets. The link is in the description. Or actually, no, for that, just go straight to the website. And the rolls are also on pre-order. The pre-order will close out September 30th, and then we have to allow the production and for them to be shipped to Florida. The links to all of those, to that will be in the reference guide. So click on the link in the description, and submit your emails that we can send you the reference guide, and it will have all of that information in it. I will have to watch again and then have my questions, because right now you're giving the tea. I have 2 of the green ones in blue. I'm considering the automatic one. It's a great investment. How much do you have to know about sublimation to be successful at it? You don't have to know a lot, right? It depends on the things that you're trying to do. There's a lot that you can do with sublimation. If you approach it as a beginner and don't try to jump ahead 30,000 steps, it's actually a really, really, really easy thing to get into, especially when you are working with a professor. We have a paper where you won't have to think about, well, what temp do I use for this? What time do I use for that? Everything, and I do mean everything that you are going to press on a flatbed printer, and even tumbler presses, because with the mug, not the mugs, with the tumblers, it's still 30 seconds. 365, 30 seconds for everything except glass, ceramic, slate, and acrylic. There's only 4 things that you have to kind of change your mindset. Pressure is still even pressure, not heavy, but that does vary depending on the substrate that you're using. Some things are thicker or thinner than others, so you do have to adjust your pressure. But temp and time, when you're using Honestly Speaking products, is the same. Now, some people consider getting colors correct a bit of a challenge, but it's because of the printer that they chose to purchase for sublimation. So for them, it's kind of like you kind of just have to do the sublimation part and not let color be a factor for you because of the printer that you selected. But it's actually really, really easy. Really, really easy. And you don't have to get a printer to start out. You can order some sheets. I know the Blank Spot sells a lot of sublimation transfers. We don't really do a lot of sublimation transfers. They have the large format printers, so they do a good job of getting those printed out and get those out to you. They have pre-made designs that you can just whatever piques your interest, you can get those. And as long as you have a heat press or a heat source, you can test out using sublimation before you go and buy a printer. They also have a bundle deal where it's like the Epson F170. You're going to get the paper, you're going to get blank. So it gives you like a full starter kit when you purchase it through them. So, there's a lot of options to make your journey a lot easier. Let's see. Hey. What is the name of the class? So it's going to be a class within our Creative Lounge. Our Creative Lounge is a monthly membership, type of setup. You're going to get access to so much more, but this will be a session in that. So you can literally learn, like if you decide that you don't want to go past 1 month, you can learn how to do sublimation all over shirts for just $36.50, because that's what your first payment is if you choose to do it month to month. We also have a quarterly option and an annual option. The link is in the description. You can just go to our website, 365 Creative Academy, and you'll see, or just do a search where it should be on the main page. It's the Creative Lounge. You get access to our design challenges in the fourth quarter. You get access to the playbacks of pro calls. We do in like specific sessions just for Creative Lounge members. You're going to get your frequently asked questions. You're going to get access to exclusive resources and guides and things of that nature. So the reference guide will be included in that, in the Creative Lounge. So you won't have to, have them in separate places. I still want one main brand that way I'm not guessing for real on quality output. Exactly. You really want to get into socks. Socks are easy to get into as well. You can get the and one socks from Walmart and make yourself a jig, or you can purchase the jigs from Silky Sock. Like I know, like they sell jigs by themselves, and you can get that one and use that. And there's a way to duplicate it, but you can always get them from them to get started. But socks are not hard to do. You just have to remember that you're going to have that line of demarcation. Now, somebody did one and they actually use a tumbler press to do their socks to make it where you only have one line of demarcation versus two. So that was an interesting concept. Yeah, socks from Silky Socks. Exactly. All right, let's see. Were there any questions over here? Nope. All right, so let's just go ahead and review real quick, and I will get out of your hair because I am now 11 minutes over time. All right. So to do this process, if you are already doing sublimation, you most likely have everything that you are going to need. Honestly speaking, sublimation paper, honestly speaking, sublimation ink. It does not matter if you have a converted EcoTape printer, a true tape printer, if you have a converted cartridge-based printer, or if you have the large format ones, but we're more so talking about like for crafters, you're probably going to have a smaller one. It doesn't matter if it's an 8.5 inch wide or if you have a wide format that will allow you to print 11 or 13 inches. This youth medium was done with 8.5 inch wide paper. So I used 8.5 by 14 inch strips to create the transfer. There we go. This is what's still considered a transfer. So I take them together to create the transfer. All right. You're going to need heat tape, preferably 1/2 inch and 2 inch. You're going to need painter's tape. I recommend painter's tape over masking. They are not the same. They are not the same. Oops, I forgot. Y'all are way over here. My bad. Painter's tape or frog tape. Okay. The thicker, the better. So this is a 1.5 inch one, and this one, I forget what this is. So the thicker one is better. Not these little itty bitty things, but scissors and or a blade. Parchment paper. Oh, I know I want to show you. I'm going to show you the butcher paper and why I prefer parchment paper over butcher paper. So butcher paper, you definitely get more bang for your buck. It's normally $18. This one is from Sam's. And so that's parchment. If you have a 15 by 15 press, this one works because it's still technically bigger, but because I have a 16 by 20, a lot of times I prefer to use this. You're going to need craft paper because I don't use the Ram board or Yucca board. So I use this. Okay. And I think that was all of it. And shirts, of course. Now, if you are going to use the roll, you will need a cutting mat and a ruler that's longer than whatever size paper you are using, because if you don't really want to try and like cut it and then move it, your cut can be off enough. The leading edge has to be very, very straight. So if you're going to use the rolls and not tape together your pre-cut sheets, you will need a self-healing mat as well as a ruler And you may want to have something like, especially if you're going to do it on the floor, to where your roll can sit on it and not get dirty, because the outside is the print side. So when you're laying it down, you can end up messing up your paper because the outside is the print side. So you want to be mindful of that. If you're going to like roll it and your floor is dirty, you're going to end up getting hair and stuff on it or whatever. So just make sure that the surface that you're going to roll this out in is clean. Or you can get the piece of equipment that I'm going to include in the reference guide. You can get that to hold it and make it easier to pull it out and cut it down. Okay. And that's about it. The reference guide will be sent to you within the next few days, but you can go ahead and get on the list early. The link is in the comments, it's in the description, it's in the link tree, and also access to the Creative Lounge. The Creative Lounge, we have monthly, quarterly, and annual options. There is an automatic deduction type setup, and it'll come out automatically every single month. But you also have a month-to-month. If you do month-to-month, it's going to be $36.50 every single month. There's also a 3-month option and a annual option that you can renew yourself, and it's not an automatic renewal. Like you have to manually go in every single month or every single quarter and re-sign up for it. But you'll be able to learn how to do this step by step from beginning to end. I'm going to let you know now, it will be a lengthy class, because when I say beginning to end, I mean beginning to end. Okay, it's going to be a very lengthy class, because we will go over design and how to, get the proper template for your shirts. There are some universal templates that go around, but they don't fit every single shirt, and you'll print them, and then now your sleeves don't quite fit on that one. We're going to talk about the pros and cons of having an exact or close to exact template versus just doing the ones that's a block or a square. And that's going to be more so like your press. When you're doing the one where you just have a long rectangle and then like the square and all of those things, when you're doing it that way, knowing where your design really is going to be positioned, you end up with your design kind of like off the page, because you don't really know, like you're not sizing it to your shirt. And then when you go to press it, because you have all this extra paper, putting it underneath your heat press, especially if you have a smaller one, becomes a lot more difficult when you're doing it that way. So we teach a way to where if you have a 15, 16 by 20, and we're also going to go over like what is the max shirt size. If you have a 15 by 15 heat press, there is a max shirt size that you can go to, because you have to be able to overlap. So if your shirt is wider than a certain point to get to the middle, you can't do that size shirt. So we're going to eliminate you even making that mistake and committing to doing, a larger size shirt, and your heat press will never accomplish that. And then you're going to go thinking, okay, they just said you just have to do this. And then you're going to have a big old section in the middle. So why not just get the training to avoid that? It will cost you $36.50. If you only want to stay in for a month, stay in for that class, $36.50 to get access to this class, because it will be taught in our Creative Lounge, which is a subscription-based program, or yes, I guess you say program. I'm late. You have them back in stock for sale. It is, so for these, they are on pre-order. They are on pre-order. The rolls and the tacky sheets are on pre-order. But all of our paper, if you saw my post the other day on Facebook and I was talking about the number 4, all of our paper is on sale. It's an automatic discount. It is $10 off on the website for all of the other sheets. And this time we did include the 3-packs, the 4-packs, and the cases. So you get $10 off at checkout for those. Oh, and the rolls, I'm not talking about here because I don't have an F570, but we also will have the 24-inch on pre-order as well. I was wondering if that big roll of butcher paper at sales was worth it. Oh, it is. It lasts a really long time. What shirts do you use when you do all over for the fam? Don't discuss brands specifically on lives anymore. You have to be in the room or really have to be in the room, because even in the guide, I kind of somewhat, but not when it comes to certain brands. Like the brands that I've used, I've tested. There's a lot of brands that you can use. Now, y'all know that, I've talked in videos, some of my favorite just for Sublimation in general, Team 365 and Sports Tech, but are they the best for all over? Maybe, maybe not. Where did you get your black tape dispenser? Online. If you sign up for the reference guide, I will give you the link to it, or you can probably find it yourself. Now that you know what it is. Do you create the design or do you purchase it? If you created it, you show that in the course. So the design that's on here, and this is how I teach. We will not be doing like a custom design and adding names and all of that, because I teach foundation and I teach essentials and fundamental first. That is how I teach. Designing is something totally different. So learning this technique is just learning the technique. You don't need a specific design to learn the technique. Learning to design and learning the technique are two different things. I keep forgetting to move my microphone. I got to definitely get me a lapel mic, because moving this back and forth is for the birds. So something like this was just a simple pattern. It was blown up to fit the template, printed out, and then that's it. As it relates to designing, I do teach design. I highly recommend that you take essentials of Silhouette Studio first, even if you plan to learn Photoshop, because of how I teach and learning, design concepts and just how programs work in general. It will really benefit you with learning Photoshop as well. So essentials of Silhouette Studio, or you can just jump straight to essentials of Photoshop, where we break down the tools and things of that nature. And then we teach designing in different ways. For those who are part of the Creative Lounge, when I'm designing, I go live. I send out an email. I have to set it up so I can send out text messages, but I send out an alert to say, hey, I'm about to work on this design for an order. Hey, come watch me work. So you can kind of see the process for how you would put things together, just how I conceptualize designs, my thought process in designs. And I just show that. So it's not a class, because I'm not necessarily teaching it. It's a lot of times everyone's sitting there in silence. Like I said, I'm probably going to start to play my podcast in the background while I am designing, since most people just kind of come and watch because they just want to see the process. But I do watch me works for when I'm putting things together. I do watch me works when I am designing. They just watch me design for these water bottles and this table number. So they saw the entire, and we also did a bookmark. I don't have the bookmark. Come on now. I don't have the bookmark printed out yet, but water bottle. And this is all done in Silhouette Studio. And then the table number, which this is foam board. So those are some perks of being in the Creative Lounge. But in the training, we're going to go through how to set it up in design programs, but we're not like designing. We're going to show you how to set, like you can pick any of the pre-made ones we have. So I am someone, I enjoy designing. So I do create my own designs. So this one, there was a reference for this, but it wasn't proportionally set up to cover a shirt. So I had to redo this design. This was a part of their campaign when they released that Jumpman was a sponsor for Howard. And so this was kind of like out there, but it was never like the picture they had. I would have never been able to do this all over shirt with that media, like the artwork that they put out. So I actually had to recreate it myself. So I will redo like designs. And I've been teaching that for 10 years. But you got to learn the basics and the foundation first. Just pre-ordered more 13-inch tacky rolls. Woohoo! Thank you. If I'm using a different brand of Sublimation ink, can I be able to add your brand of ink to Sublimation print? Yes, you can. That's this whole urban myth that you cannot mix brands. The only thing that will happen is depending on the color of their ink and like the way that theirs was set up, their profile. There we go. You might see a slight difference in color. My recommendation is to, and it's not going to be by very much, but it'll be slight difference. So whenever you're going to switch inks, or you want to get it as low as possible, right? And then put the new inks in, but never, ever, ever switch inks. Even if it's the same brand, but let's say it's a brand new bottle. If you did not buy them at the exact same time, I still recommend doing this. Do not do it. Well, I recommend not doing this. Don't do it in the middle of an order. So if you know for sure, like you had to do just a regular summation shirt, you had to do 20 summation shirts, or you had to do 20 tumblers, and you're not sure if that ink is going to last for 20 tumblers, maybe try and do something else, or go ahead and start mixing the ink. That way the color is consistent across all of them. Because that happened to someone before. One of my good friends, she had one brand of ink and she was doing some, I think it was like Mason things, whatever. And then she switched inks and then it came out looking reddish. So never, ever, ever mix inks in the middle of a print job. So we have Sublimation ink. Guys, this works. I actually, the Formula B, even though it says EcoTank, we had an excessive amount of that. I've shown that it's the same. We have Sublimation ink. It says Formula B. It's the second thing on the website. You can order that, guys. It works. The signature one, it was like, I need to see who actually needs that. So I'm going to probably send out an email and find out who needs it, because the majority of the customers that we have, they've moved away from the workforce printers. So us keeping the signature line kind of available, it was, it took too long for it to move because so many people have moved on. So we will send out an email, or you'll see like a post, and we'll have you sign up for that to see who still needs the original signature formula, and if it justifies us restocking it, because it seemed like everybody had moved on to EcoTank printers. But I use it in my workforce printer and it still prints out amazing. Same thing with that. We had so much for so long and they started to move very, very slow. So we had to restock them. We're actually going to have a pre-order for the 252 cartridges as well as the chip resetters. We are not, well, we can do the 812s if you have them. Just know that you are going to literally sign, like it's going to be separate. You won't even get access to that unless we get back from you that you will not be requesting a refund. If it does not work in your printer, you are taking on that risk. So we don't mind doing the 812s, but this time around we are going, I won't ever put them on the site. They will only be pre-order. I will not be selling them by themselves. They will be pre-order only, and you will have to sign a contract that if you try and do a chargeback, I can submit it to them and say they knew that they potentially would not work. They decided to get them anyway. Don't get them back this month. But 252s and chip resetters, that pre-order link will be on the website by this evening, okay? But so many people moved away from them and they were just slow moving. And in business, it's not smart to keep replenishing something that we just kind of have sit, because then at the end of the year, we have to submit that, when it comes to our taxes. So we don't want to have an excessive amount of inventory left over. The tabletop, so that table topper, it's a table number, but thank you. To join the Creative Lounge, there is a link in the description, or you can go straight to our website, 365creativeacademy.com. 365creativeacademy.com, but there is a link in the description of this video and it will take you. So, and I actually put it in the comments as well. You may have to go up. After we're done, I see you're on Facebook. I can also comment on it and give you the direct link to it, but you have to wait until after the live is over with. But 365creativeacademy.com is where you would go. I can't remember. Do you have the font name and where to get it? If not already in the program download that I use for the water bottles and invitations. I'll have to go and look at it. All right, let me see. We're over here. I just see the one. I wasn't sure if I did. That's good to know. This works because I have a workforce. Awesome. Oh, I still love my workforce. It's just that most people could not purchase it, so they kind of moved away from it. I have 2 workforces. I would love to have the signature ink. Well, I mean, thank you for saying that, but you guys will have to respond to the actual form that will go out. Oh, your cyan won't reset. Interesting. And you don't have another set at all to kind of, because sometimes if you have another set, you put it in there. That's why I always recommend having 2 sets of cartridges. Now, if you have another set and still will not reset, then that means it's not the chip, it's the actual pins inside of your printer, and you need to change those. All right, y'all. I am now officially 30 minutes over time. I'm going to go ahead and hop off of here, guys. Thank you so much. I will be back. You're going to see me kind of show the same thing a couple of times in the next couple of days as we are leading up to the session in the Creative Lounge. All right. So until next time, guys, have a great one. Continue to unlock your creativity and be incredible. Peace.